Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to talk your ears off about all the books that I have read in September. They were not plenty, but they did pack a punch, so let's begin with my favorites. First up, it's Dream Department Store by Mia Lee. I adore this one. It's by far one of my most favorite reads of the year, if not my top read of the year, since it's about a topic I've always been intrigued about, and it's just so unique. The book is about Darga's department store, and this store is quite special because it sells dreams, and you can go there in your sleep, even if you don't remember the next day. This store has multiple floors, each floor dedicated to a specific category of dreams that you can just go and pick and choose from whichever one you like. In the story, we get to follow Penny, who is a new employee at the store, and actually we get to follow her interview process, which, not going to lie, I was at the edge of my seat since I did not think that she will get the job. She was not doing well in the beginning, and because Dallegard is kind of selective with his employees, and speaking of him, he is such a unique and interesting character. He's kind of like a grandfather who drops a lot of life lessons as the story progresses, and we have a lot to learn from him. But he's also open-minded to what Penny has to say, since she brings in a fresh new perspective. In a nutshell, I would say that this book gives you the same exact feeling that you would have got if you were watching a Ghibli film. Peak coziness. Oh, and there's actually a chapter where we learn that they sell dreams to animals, and it's usually about their owner, which made me miss my cat. It was so sweet. 5 stars all around. Highly recommend. Another favorite of the month is 90 Steps by Millie Bobby Brown, and this book broke my heart, glued it together, then broke it again, and it just left me in utter shock at the end. The plot twist goes so crazy in this one, even though the plot is quite obvious from the get-go, and it's about World War II in London. There are a lot of air raids, and people use tube stations as shelters, and one tube station in particular is not in great condition, and the entrance for it is just not safe for people to use. As you can expect, it's 90 steps. It's 90 steps that are going to change the trajectory of people's lives. Historical fiction is always hard to read about, especially when there's hope, and in this one there's a lot of hope, because even though the war took many lives, the people who are still living, they're trying to get life going, and there's a love triangle which I was highly invested in. I think it was so well done, and I was so curious because one of the guys was third wheeling hard, and I wanted to know if he's going to pull through, and he might or may have not done it. Overall, this one was 4 stars from me. Now on to a book that I liked, but I didn't find it extraordinary, and it's because it's the first in the series. There's actually 6 books in total, and this was more about setting the scene. And it's The Flood by Michael McDowell. I have to say that considering that it was written in 1983, it was not that hard to understand, because I find it with older books, usually they use a writing style that I'm not used to, but this one felt quite modern for its time. It's a Southern Gothic horror about the Kasky family. They live in a small town in the south of Alabama called Perdido. They have to learn how to live again after a flood basically destroyed everything in the town. But with the flood, a new visitor came about. Her name is Eleanor, and somehow she survived the flood. I mean, that's at least what she told the residents when they found her. I am so intrigued by her character because she's not like your usual scary creature that kind of reveals herself from the get-go and just, I don't know, causes a lot of havoc. No. She's taking her sweet time. She's playing with their minds, and I'm all for it. For whatever reason, she's trying to infiltrate the Kasky family. I'm not quite sure why, but that's why I'm going to pick the second book, because I need to know. I need to find out what she's up to. This one got 3.75 stars from me. Well, it's time for my least favorites now, and oh my god. First up is A Dark and Drowning Tide by Alison Saft. You guys lied to me, because after reading the arc, I saw so much rave about it. Everyone adored it, loved it, and just only good things to say, right? And I went to Waterstones and pre-ordered the special edition of it. See, it's very nice and pretty, and I hated it. It was so boring. So boring. Don't get me wrong, it's one of the most beautiful books that I own. I love it. But it's such a weird feeling having such a beautiful book that you just didn't like. It's I don't know, it's a bummer. It's a bummer. I expected fantasy, but most of what I got was murder mystery, which I couldn't care less about. The book follows Aurelie, and she's a folklorist in charge of an expedition with 6 nobles. They're trying to find this mythical spring of untold power or something like that. And she's trying to prove herself, because if she does that, then she's going to become a naturalist, which allows her to travel freely. See, you did not expect murder mystery from this one, did you? Or like from the title or the cover, like how did they become a murder mystery? And I have to say, the only interesting thing about this one was the relationship between the main characters, Sylvia and Aurelie. I thought that was stinking cute, but that was about it. I was so bored, and I don't understand the hype for this one. I have to mention that this was my second book from this author, and I read The Farfielder Magic, which I believe that it was boring in the beginning. Again, too much world building, but it actually picked up halfway through. That couldn't be said for this one. This one was just uninteresting. This sun cannot make up its mind, because it was supposed to be a rainy day today, and it's actually a mix of sunny, cloudy, rainy, and I'm so sorry for the light changes throughout this video. I cannot do nothing about it. On to my final book that I have read this month, and my least favorite, it's The Family Lie. I have to be honest, I got this one because it matched my Instagram feed, because I was going for the green theme, and I thought, wow, perfect. And yeah, I got disappointed. I skipped so many pages that I finished that book in 2 hours. I was actually curious what will happen in the book, because thing is, the premise was so interesting, but the execution was horrendous. But I was still curious what's going to happen, so I kept on reading, and it took forever to pick up. I think it picked up in the last 50 pages, which is a lot for me, not going to lie. I should have probably DNF it. I cannot believe I pushed through, if I'm honest with you, because usually I give books out around 50 pages chance to wow me. If they don't, I'm just tossing it away. I think it was just because it was so pretty and I wanted to feature it on my feed. Yeah. So the book follows Mitchell Prescott, a police officer who goes back to his hometown after his father dies in a suspicious fire. He's actually asking everyone like, oh, what happened? How did my father die? And they're saying, oh, it was just a dementia. You know, he basically lit himself on fire, and he does not believe that. Like, who does that? And he actually finds signs of foul play, and he kind of keeps looking into it, digs deeper, and he's warned to leave. His house is broken into, and he doesn't stop until, you know, he figures out what's happening. And when the plot twist was revealed, I was just, how? This is one of those thrillers that it does not make sense with the beginning of the story. Like, you cannot just make things up in the last 50 pages of the book and call it a day. Like, there was nothing that, you know, you didn't drop any hints that might be. You didn't, and you just cannot make things up. You cannot. So that was very disappointing. Just 1.75 stars from me for this one. All in all, I had quite the reading month, I mean, it was a mix of good reads and bad reads, and I could have probably read more. I could have. I feel like 5 books is little, and to be honest, I'm actually in the middle of 2 books at the moment. I didn't manage to finish them in time for this video because I'm enjoying them so much. And usually when I'm enjoying a book, I'm taking my sweet time with it. Even if it takes a week, a month, like I will just, you know, read very slow and enjoy it. And one of the books is The Starless Sea. And I love it so far. It's such an interesting journey, and I cannot wait to see what happens. Also, it has very short chapters, which I adore. My short attention span just loves this so much. The second book that I'm in the middle of right now is actually an audiobook, and it is We Used to Live Here. I picked this one up because I saw everyone on Bookstagram just raving about it and saying they are like spooked, and it's very good for the season. And I have to agree, this is very good because so far there's like an eerie feeling throughout, and nothing creepy happened, but I'm spooked. It's how do you explain this? Kind of like waiting for a jump scare. That's exactly how it feels. And I don't know if it's one of those books where you are just waiting for a jump scare, but it never happens. It's like an itch you cannot scratch, you know, just more about the intensity of the thriller, or it's actually a thriller where a lot is going to happen. I'm just going to be like, oh, I cannot believe it. I'll keep you updated. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye.